welcome to Raw. I'm Alex.
And I'm Matt, and we're with Daphne and Doris on the fantastic African experience at the Howletts and Portland Wild Animal Parks.
Yes, Daphne and Doris are black buck, and they're the world's second fastest animal, reaching speeds of up to 55 miles per hour. Only a cheetah can outrun one of these.
And with 150 acres to run free, there's plenty of room for them and the ostrich behind us to get up to their top speed. Well, we'll be seeing loads more of the park's animals and the keepers that look after them throughout the show. Here's what we've squeezed into the programme.
It's 5 metres long, as heavy as a moped, and can swallow a deer whole. So how on earth do you clean its pen? I reluctantly find out.
Here's one resident you definitely don't want to fall out with. Meet Tebby, who has taken a dislike to one of the keepers.
And it's a birthday she'll never forget for the newest arrival in the elephant enclosure. Earlier in the series, we met 2 of Portland's red pandas. Although in their natural habitat they are fairly solitary animals, these 2 lovebirds are very happy together. Just like the giant panda, red pandas are endangered in the wild. Therefore, captive breeding is important for the species. And there is some exciting news at Portland because female Li Yi is pregnant. Li Yi is a very popular panda. She will be pregnant for about 5 months, and as the big day draws closer, keeper Rich Langston is doing everything he can to make sure that Li Yi is happy and calm before she gives birth.
Today, as normal, we just go around, check all the nest boxes, and if they need doing, we just gut them out. So when she does give birth, if she chooses to, whatever nest box she chooses to give birth in, it's all nice and clean, we won't have to worry about it. Because the likelihood is, for a few days to a week, she won't leave that nest box. We want it to be clean when she does give birth in there for the baby's sake.
It's not just birds who build nests, as Rich has noticed that Li Yi is making one herself.
There's not a lot in this one. Sometimes you get a lot more, but just little couple of twigs like that, what she's dragged in from outside, and just the starting of a nest building. You find that in most of the boxes, she'll start making a nest in most of them, and then, yeah, where ones she starts to drop in there, it's all ready for her. The only change in her, really, I mean, she's still as friendly and as social as she ever was. It's just basically she started to slow down a little bit when she's climbing and stuff like that, which is, being pregnant, you can't really blame her to take it a bit easier. But, I mean, in herself, she's still being as friendly and everything like that.
Li Yi is a big favourite at the park, and she's certainly stolen Rich's heart.
Li Yi, yeah, she's really good. She's a little star. She's really good. She's really friendly. Yeah, I've worked with her about 4 years now, so yeah, I've got to know her quite well, and yeah, she's a real sweetie. She's a good girl.
This isn't the first time that Li Yi has been pregnant, but the last 2 births have been very sad occasions.
Unfortunately, she's had 2 babies last year and the year before. Both times, unfortunately, it got to around the 8-10 day mark, and she started walking around the enclosure doing laps with the baby. And over the next few days, she lost it, still carrying it around. We're not sure why. We think it's basically down to milk drying up. We had the vet look at her after the second time she lost the baby. We knocked her out, and basically only one of the nipples was producing milk. So we think it's basically just milk drying up. So hopefully this time she'll be fine. But I mean, yeah, it's gutting last time because she's trying to be a good mum. She's trying to do all the right things, and it's just, for one reason or another, it's just not quite happening. So this time it'd be really, really good if she managed to keep it.
If the birth is successful, it will be an amazing achievement for Li Yi and her hard-working keepers.
Pandas are classified as vulnerable. They are endangered. Other zoos have bred them fairly well. I mean, we've only had them 4 or 5 years. We've only been in a breeding situation about 2-3 years now. So, I mean, we're still fairly new at this game. But, yeah, I mean, if she does give birth and she keeps it, and then it will be important for the panda species in general.
To try and help Li Yi produce more milk when the baby is born, the keepers are giving her a mixture of herbs recommended by the vet. Red pandas are notoriously fussy eaters, and so Head of Section Neville Buck has to mix the herbs with her fruit.
You can see she's taking her herbs quite nicely at the moment. It's kind of what we hope, really. Hopefully it'll do her some good. I mean, generally speaking, during most of the year, I mean, she doesn't really get herbs on our normal diet. It's just kind of something new that we're trying to help with her milk production when she's got babes. Hopefully we'll kind of see some positive results from it in a couple of weeks' time. We'll continue with the herbs after the birth because it's then when she's obviously going to be lactating, and that's when the herbs could obviously provide the solution to our problems.
Li Yi always tries to be a good mum. She just can't feed the baby, and everyone is just hoping that this remedy works for her.
At the moment, I mean, we're kind of all really thrilled that she's due to give birth again, and kind of quite excited at the prospect of having little ones again. But there's always that kind of worry in the back of our minds that are they going to survive, or is this going to be the first time, or are we going to have the same problems as previous years?
We'll be keeping track of Li Yi throughout the series, and hopefully we'll soon hear the pitter-patter of baby panda paws.
These dogs may have been nice to Mowgli in the Jungle Book, but in reality they are fierce pack hunters, and their short, thick snout enables them to give a very nasty bite. And we have been given the job of feeding them. What am I doing with this?
Well, before we feed them, we're going to have to go in and quickly clear up from the last feed, so we've got a few bones to collect first.
Are we going to do something with them? Put them in a pen or something, or are we...
No, not at all. No, we'll be all right in there.
OK, and I'll trust you.
Yeah.
Lead the way. I'll go and get these bones then, and you get the supper ready.
OK.
See you in a bit. I hope. Yeah. So, Alan, are we in any danger at all? They're all looking at us.
No, we should be fine. I mean, technically, yes, it can be a dangerous situation because this is a pack hunting animal, and we do have a large pack here of 22 animals. So theoretically, yes, it could be quite dangerous. But at the same time, I mean, I've been working with all of these now, well, barring one or two, since they've all been born now. So they've all got used to me. They've got used to the other keepers. So we'll be fine.
Good.
Don't panic.
They seem to be running in the opposite direction, which is making me very happy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I see the bones. Why are we having to pick these up?
Well, this is just from their last feed, so...
Just grab them and plonk them inside?
Yep, chuck them in the bin, that's fine. Basically, yeah, they'll eat pretty much everything apart from the bones, so we just need to collect these up, otherwise it'll build up over a few weeks and get quite messy and disgusting.
All right, yeah. And in the wild, I suppose, other creatures would sort the bones out.
Yeah, nature always finds its own way in the wild, but here we have to do it for them, so...
Yeah. So, I see they're running in a pack. Do they have this sort of hierarchy, like, is it like wolves, you know? Is there a...
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, here we're quite lucky because it is a large pack, so we get to see it all happening.
Well, they're all licking their lips, ready for their dinner. Have we got enough bones? Shall we head out and...
I think, yeah, that's that lot collected.
I think Alex is...
I'll give you a hand with the finish.
That's OK, I've got it. You go and grab the gate.
Yeah.
OK, Alex, bring out the supper.
We've got the meat here.
Ooh, that
Ricky,
looks delicious.
Quite a lot of meat. How often do you feed them?
We feed them every other day. But
And what kind of meat do they eat in the wild?
generally goats, sheep, pigs, rabbits, small deer.
So if we're here, are they likely to come over and start feeding?
No, not until we've left. They'll all come over and
OK.
have their own little nibbles.
Well, I think we'll watch from a safe distance outside then. So, Matt, what's going on?
Hey, that one had a little nibble. I think then when it had the gate, it was like, oh, here it comes.
They're certainly a bit wary of us, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is that normal?
Yeah, they just keep themselves out of the way. They wait until we put the meat in, and then they come up when we've gone. So that's quite normal.
Who's going to eat first? I mean, that's quite a small one. Is that a male, female?
Well, I mean, they're quite small anyway, but generally you'll find that it's always the dominant ones that feed first. But having said that, while we're all here and they're still a bit edgy about coming up, you might find a couple of the more subordinate ones will nip in and grab some food first before being told where to go.
Alan, where do you find dholes in the wild?
Well, they range from Java right through up to China, through Indochina as well. So they have a long range.
And they've got these amazing red coats. Is there a particular reason for that colouring?
Yeah, I mean, despite the fact they come from areas that you assume would be really green, it's actually for camouflage. Like a tiger would be orange as well. You have to think a lot of the grasslands that they hunt in would actually be quite sun-scorched, so it would actually turn this sort of yellowy and reddy colours, so they blend in better than you'd assume.
And are they endangered?
Yeah, unfortunately they are. Generally through hunting, persecution by man, really, and that'd be the only natural predators that they've got.
So does that mean that this group you've got here is important for the preservation of the species?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a good group. We're breeding really well over the last few years, so I mean, keeping animals breeding in captivity like this is probably about the only hope a lot of animals will have for the future. So, yeah, we're doing well with them.
Good.
Look, that one's taken the whole lot. That's so cheeky.
Is he going off with that to sort of hide in the corner and eat it all himself, or is he taking it off to the rest of the pack?
Well, yeah, they do tend to drag the feed off, usually take it further into the trees. Quite possibly it takes it away from us a little bit and a bit more privacy, but as far as sharing it goes, I don't think it's got a chance really, because, I mean, they're all in there, they're all hungry, so they're all going to get it.
Excellent.
Well, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much. They're fascinating to watch. I'm sure we'll be back soon.
Definitely. Great stuff. Thanks very much, you guys.
What's grey and wears a mask? The elephantum of the opera. What type of fish goes well with ice cream? Jellyfish. Where do cows dance? At the meat ball.
As you may have seen, a couple of days ago on Raw, we fed Duke the Python with a very big rat. Now I'm off to see his friend Chain, who needs someone to clean out his pen. I hope he's been fed recently. This really is my worst nightmare. I'm here in the reptile house with keeper Ben Warren. Over there is my least favourite animal in the world. Ben, I can see it's a snake, but it's massive. What on earth is it?
This is Chain. He's a Burmese python. He's about 12 years old, so he's quite old.
Right, what are we going to do?
Basically, we're in here to clean out. Gonna get you picking his poo out of the pond.
Oh, delightful.
Things like that.
OK.
And clean his water.
And so what's first then?
If you want to take the rake.
OK.
And just scoop up the bits of poo that are there.
I see. So these bits here are floating up here.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing there's a lot of bark here. Does this sort of mimic his natural habitat?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, you get leaf mulch on the forest floors that they sort of live in.
And what sort of things does he eat?
We feed him on rats, chickens and rabbits mainly.
How often is he fed?
We feed him once every 2 weeks.
And then how often do you clean him out?
I'll clean him out once a week.
Now that we've cleared out the pond, can we get out?
No.
Oh, no.
We have to change the water.
Oh, right, OK, so...
If you want to reach down, see where that grill is down there?
OK.
If you take that out...
What, actually pull the grill out?
Yeah, and there's a bung underneath.
Got it. Oh, it's a bit slimy down here. Right.
Yeah. And now put your other arm down, and there's the bung. Just give that a hard yank.
Right, got it. OK. So we're going to clear all that water and then put some fresh water in?
Yeah.
And I noticed when we first came into the house, he was sort of flicking his tongue. What does that mean?
It's basically their sense of smell. He's checking you out, see what you smell like. Just finding out what you like, really. Do you want to do that side?
OK, got it. Right, so just clean it. Oh, it does get quite dirty then. This is just after a week.
Yes.
A bit grimy down here. There you are, Chain. A lovely new clean pond. Does he bathe in here each day then? If you came past, would you see him in here?
I mean, probably once a week he'll spend a couple of days in here.
Yeah.
Just soak himself up.
So now the bung back in. Remember which way it goes round. OK. Got it.
That's
so that bit pokes out.
Yeah, that's perfect. Now,
Got it.
Brilliant.
And then fill it up.
We'll let that fill.
This seems to be taking quite a while. I'm sort of quite keen to maybe make an exit from here.
Yeah, if you want to make a move out, we'll...
OK, so we'll just leave that running.
Yeah, and then give him fresh water.
We'll leave the snake to it.
One evening, nearly a year ago, the elephant keepers said goodnight to 11 elephants and went home. But when they came back to work the following morning, there were 12 elephants waiting for them. Tammy had given birth to baby Jara. Keepers Liz Rickards and Suzanne Moon were the first to see her.
I actually got in quite early the day she was born, and I came in, there's this little elephant wandering around, and I got all excited.
Keepers took photos and filmed this amazing footage of Jara when she was just a few hours old. Both here in the park and in the wild, elephants live in large family groups, and the whole herd gathered to welcome the new arrival, though Jara's half-sister Justa tried to steal the limelight. There's always one in every family. When Jara was born, she weighed just 70 kilos. Her father Jums is 50 times heavier. And she was just 75 centimetres tall, small enough to fit under her mum's tummy.
When they're born, they've got very pink ears, very crinkly, bloodshot eyes.
Hairy.
very, very hairy. They're all born with a kink in their tail, I suppose, where they've been curled up in their mum's belly, and then over a few months that sort of straightens out. This was quite cute to see, isn't it?
Baby elephants are born able to walk and run, even if it is a bit wobbly. But it takes them a long time to learn how to use their trunk.
When they're first born, they have no control over their trunk at all. It's just flapping around everywhere. They're treading on it. She's putting it in her mouth. Not quite sure. But now, I mean, she's come a long way.
Once mastered, the trunk can be as useful to an elephant as your arm is to you. They use it to pick up food and water and to hit cameramen over the head. Over the last year, Jara and her half-brother Janu have made a lively impression on the herd, especially at food times.
Jara has become really cheeky and she's a bit of a rascal, really. When we spread the food out in the paddocks in the morning, she used to headbutt the fruit and veg, lay on the hay to get in the way of the mum, so the mum would have to push her off.
It's just lovely watching her grow up and see the bonds they form between, you know, not only her and the other calf Janu, but obviously the other members of the herd, seeing how she fits in to herd life, really, which is fantastic to see.
Yeah, it's great.
So with Jara's first birthday fast approaching, the keepers are planning to celebrate.
Well, we're planning a birthday party for Jara because she'll be 1 year old. She loves her food, so we're planning to have a great big cake for her. So she can either eat it or throw it around, which she quite likes doing. Try and get her to get a bit of cake before the others steal it.
We'll be back later to join in the party. Now I get to feed 3 very grumpy vegetarians. I hope they don't charge too much.
It's breakfast time at the rhino enclosure, and I've come over to meet head keeper Joel Bunce. Joel, eggs and bacon? Cornflakes?
Not quite, I'm afraid. Instead, we have lots of fruit and veg and a few pellets, so it's all good stuff, nice and healthy.
So the rhino are vegetarian, are they?
Yeah, completely. Their normal wild diet would be browse, shoots, branches. We do give them browse as well, but mainly the bulk of their diet is this fruit and veg and pellets.
You can see them all penned up here behind you. Is that because they'd be a danger to us if they were in here with us?
Yeah, they certainly would.
They have got these amazing horns. Is that the main area of danger?
Yeah, I mean, just about every part of them is a danger because they're so big and heavy, but I mean, the horn is their main weapon of choice, so you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that.
No, you wouldn't. How would we know if we were going to be in trouble? How would they warn us that they were coming for us, or do they just run?
Well, hopefully you would get some sort of warning. Generally, there's a lot of huffing and puffing and snorting. They may make a mock charge, pretend to come at you before then actually, you know, properly charging at you. So hopefully you get some sort of warning to get out of the way rather than just suddenly find yourself on the end of a rhino horn.
Yes. OK, well, I think we'll just keep a safe distance just in case.
I think so. Yeah.
So I've got these 2. Where shall I put them?
If you put one right at the end of the paddock up there and one across the other side of the paddock, that should be far enough apart, and I'll go and sort out the gates.
OK, I'll meet you there.
OK.
OK, Joel. OK, Joel, there's the food out. What's next?
Well, we've got to let them through now.
Yeah?
They're getting pretty impatient and hungry.
I bet they are. Can I help in any way?
Yeah, indeed. You can open this gate. Just pull the bolt out, pull the gate back, and then stand back 6 foot or so.
Yes.
And they should come through.
OK. Should we go for it?
Yeah.
OK,
absolutely.
So, who's going to come through first, Joel? Is there a sort of hierarchy to this, or is it first come, first served?
Generally, it's between the two girls. Depends who's on top on the day.
Right.
Could be Rafiji, could be the Salome, and Vungu will eventually plod through on his own when he's ready and feeling confident.
Should we go for it?
Yep. Good girl, Fiji.
So, tell us who's who as they come through. This is Fiji.
This one, clanging and banging, is Rafiji, showing her annoyance at being left for so long.
Come on, Fiji. Oh,
she'll go through first.
What is the noise, the sort of snorting that she's doing? Is that a warning for us, or is she just excited?
That's just general annoyance and irritation, and letting everyone know that she's not very happy at all.
Right.
And this is Rafiji come bounding through.
Did you think that, is it your intention anyway, that they should have babies?
Very much so. That's the plan. He's not old enough yet. He's only 4.5. The two girls are probably just old enough. They're about 6.5. So we're just waiting for him, really.
How long do you think it'll take them to get through this pile of food that we've put out?
They'll probably be there for a good sort of 10 minutes, I should think, eating. They'll leave a few things and then go back to it later.
Yes, yeah. I think I could do with a bacon sandwich and a cup of tea myself. What do you think?
It looks preferable to what they're eating, doesn't it?
Why don't we leave them to it and go and get one?
OK, yeah.
Come on.
Life is never boring at the parks, especially life up at the new gorilla enclosure, where there's one gorilla who keeps the keepers on their toes. Her name is Tebby. She's a 24-year-old gorilla who just can't be ignored. Gorillas, like humans, are great apes. Their brain is the second biggest primate brain after us humans, and they are very, very clever. Some gorillas have learned the meaning of thousands of our words, and they're about as intelligent as a 5-year-old child. Yes, the gorilla is one of the cleverest animals on the planet, and Tebby here is an intellectual heavyweight. She's a source of entertainment for the keepers, but with that brilliance there is a darker side. Tebby has been known to terrorise a keeper or two. But we'll get to that later. Maria Whitehouse is one of those lucky enough to look after this great ape mastermind.
She's our naughtiest gorilla. She's a great opportunist, and if she knows she's going to get food, she will trade anything. She is intelligent. She thinks things through. She will seek an opportunity and make the most of it, whereas the other gorillas, well, not quite as thoughtful.
It's quite amazing what Tebby can do.
Give me that stick. You know what I mean. Down there, look. Straw, that's not good enough.
She knows Maria has food, but how does she get her to hand it over? First, she'll try to communicate, see if that works.
Grumble. It means she's happy.
At 24, Tebby is in her prime. She's had 2 sons, Kibu, who's 6, and Abeki, who's 3, and she reigns as one of the most important gorillas in her group, third behind the giant silverback Kifu.
For me. Thank you. There you go.
And her talents go much further than swapping sticks for food. If a keeper accidentally leaves something within her reach, she'll be there in a flash.
She likes to use tools. You know, if there's a stick, she will use that to get whatever she wants. If there's a peanut or a piece of food that's nearby, she will use a stick to pull it forward. Always, 9 times out of 10, get hold of what she wants. Very, very clever.
Tebby is an expert with tools, but it's the craftiness that goes with it that the keepers need to be watchful of.
When she comes up to us and she looks at us intensely with those eyes, we may be thinking that she's just looking at us in a nice, loving way, but really she's thinking ahead of you to see what she could steal and to see what she could trade back later.
To demonstrate just how careful the keepers need to be, I give you Tebby Cam. On a number of occasions, Tebby has used that expert stick skill to get hold of the hose pipes the keepers use for cleaning out. The hoses hang off the wall on reels, and when she's in a particularly mischievous mood, she will find a stick and set to work on hooking the hose and pulling it into the enclosure. Once she has it through the bars, it's a simple matter of running backwards and dragging the whole hose into the house.
We're having to adapt various things because of Tebby around the house. For example, the hose reel is now all encased because we've got through numerous hose reels because of her. We just can't trust her. We have to make sure everything is secure around Tebby's enclosure because she will have it. Whenever we've had any film in here over the years, like we do, she's always the one that's there on film. She's like, oh, filming again. She's not shy.
When Tebby first paid attention to the camera crew, we thought she was either a show-off or just interested in what we were doing. But actually, having got to know her better, it seems she was just sizing us up, wondering how on earth she could get the camera through the bars, and more importantly, how many grapes she'd get for giving it back.
She's not the sort of gorilla you'd want to be best friends with. She'd be the sort in the playground at school, she'd nick all your sweets. So she's good, but she wouldn't be your best friend.
There are two sides to Tebby. We've met Tebby the crafty, and later in the show we'll meet Tebby the crabby. When a gorilla decides they don't like you, they can make your life pretty unbearable, as one of the keepers here is finding out.
I'm not one of her favourites, and I don't know what I've done.
Now it's time to meet a keeper who is a mastermind on the ruffed black and white lemur. We're armed to the teeth with some very tough questions to try and bamboozle this boffin in Ask the Keeper.
We're here at the lemur enclosure to ask Keeper Ernie Thetford all about these beautiful animals. Who's first? Hannah.
What's their favourite food?
Things like figs and different kinds of exotic fruit. Dates they're particularly fond of, but obviously they do like more ordinary things like grapes and bananas as well.
Well, Ernie, I don't know what this one likes to eat, but it seems to be rather enjoying Yock's trainer.
Yeah, that's unusual, isn't it?
Do they have sharp teeth?
They do have sharp teeth, yes. But even more interestingly, they've got special teeth at the front, lower bit of their mouth for keeping their coat nice and clean, and they groom their fur with this. It's a tooth comb, and it keeps the fur lovely and clean. And also they've got a sort of second tongue underneath that can clean out this little brush.
What, so they've got two tongues?
Yeah, sort of second tongue underneath.
Who's got another question for Ernie?
Me. Where are they from in the wild?
They come from Madagascar. It's an island, a large island off Africa. That's where lemurs come from, and that's the only place where lemurs are found nowadays.
The only place, and that's because they're really endangered, isn't it?
They are indeed, yes. Especially, there's so many different kinds of lemur.
What kind of lemurs are these?
These are black and white ruffed lemurs.
How long do they live?
They can live to be about 25 years old. That's a really good age for a lemur.
Shantima.
How do they communicate with each other?
They have...
Whoa! This lemur has no respect for this clever clogs. Let's see it again.
They have...
One went for Ernie's glasses. So was that lemur telling you off then, Ernie?
Yeah.
OK, another question. Emily.
Do they use their tails to hang from things?
No, they don't. No. They can use the tail to curl around themselves and keep themselves warm. And they do sleep like that with it over their nose and things like that. But no, they can't hang on with it at all.
Why do they have so bright eyes?
They do have bright eyes, don't they? They tend to come out when it's dusk and at dawn, so that they can see better than we can at night, but they like it when it's just a bit more subdued, and their eyes, the pupils do open up quite a lot more than they do at the moment. They've also got a different kind of colour vision than we have. They can't see red They can see blues and greens, but they don't see red.
So does that mean, you know, if you gave them a piece of red fruit, like...
They would just see it as a shade. They wouldn't see it as the colour that we can see it, because they can only see the 2 colours, whereas we can see 3 colours.
Fascinating. I didn't know that about lemurs. That's all we've got time for on this Ask the Keeper. Fantastic questions, thanks guys, and thank you very much, Ernie.
It's been a real pleasure.
Their sense of smell is 100 times better than ours. Their incredible stamina allows them to easily run a marathon every day, and they always play the baddie in fairy tales. This is the grey wolf. Keeper Pete Thompson is certainly not afraid of the big bad wolf.
I've been working with them for about 9 years now and never had any hassle with them. They're a misunderstood animal and I feel it's my job to put that straight.
Wolves are found across the Northern Hemisphere, but the ones at the park are from Canada. There used to be millions of wolves across the world, and a few hundred years ago, you could even find them in Britain. Like many places, our wolves were hunted to extinction, partly because people were so scared of them. Pete has to check that he has 6 fit and healthy wolves.
If I'm on my own, they're fine, they'll come down. If there's anyone else around, they're very shy and nervous. They probably think you're a vet or something.
But nervous animals can be very difficult to spot.
1, 2, 3. Where are the rest of you?
An added problem is that wolves have much better hiding places than simply behind a hedge.
They have whole tunnel systems in the ground. That top bank is an amazing system of tunnels where they burrow in. We've had problems occasionally where the tunnels have collapsed and we've had to try and get them out, but they pretty much look after themselves. 2, 3, 4, 5. One more.
But Pete's still 1 short.
I'll come back later on and have a count up, and it's mostly just to see that they're okay, that he's not injured and lying up somewhere.
Pete's passion for wolves has taken him across the world, and spotting them in the wild is even harder than finding them at the park.
Well, I was working in Canada and I went off tracking these, and they're one of the most elusive animals. You always got the feeling that they were watching you, but you very rarely saw them. In the month that I was looking for them, I only had 2 sightings.
Children all over the world have been brought up to fear wolves, which has led to them being one of the most victimised creatures on the planet. Pete is certain that they don't deserve their bad reputation.
They're not these ferocious killers that go around chewing everyone up. They're amazing animals, and just watch them together as a family group as well is quite amazing.
After a few more minutes, the elusive 6th wolf finally makes an appearance, so Pete has a full set.
You know, when I'm on my own and they just come round and they just run around you and not bother you, just wander around like you're not even there, it's an amazing feeling and a great honour.
There are plenty of animals in the parks who would quite happily bite your hand off if you were to give them a tickle, though there are some who quite appreciate it. You might remember this baby tapir being born a little while back. I popped in to see how she was getting along.
I'm in the tapir enclosure with Deputy Head of Hoofstock, Mike Downman, and it's tapir tickle time. Mike, they're loving this, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they certainly do. This is quality time for them and us. As you can see, they're totally relaxed, very chilled out. And it's a good excuse for us to come in and just sort of have a bit of quality time ourselves.
And it's amazing because baby Tengui here I haven't seen for a little while, and she's grown so much. I can't believe it.
She is sort of growing at quite a rate now.
What do you think she would weigh now?
We put her around 100, 120 kilograms, perhaps.
Wow, that's like 2 of me already. And how old is she?
She's about 3 months old now.
And you can see straight away here, look at her coat and how it's starting to change. And she's actually losing her spots, isn't she, Mike, and becoming more like Mum?
She certainly is. You can see how the saddle's starting to develop there. And these spots and stripes are now starting to fade there. This is a perfectly natural thing. Obviously, when they're young in the wild, this would be a very good camouflage for them when they're in the dense undergrowth. As they become bigger, they don't need to hide as well, and they can start taking on this adult coloration because eventually she'll be too big to be worried about too much.
Well, I'm going to carry on doing some more tapir tickling, but don't go away because we've got loads more coming up on today's programme.
We meet the meerkats, the park's newest arrivals.
A hunk of meat helps the medicine go down for this tetchy tiger.
But first, for a big baby's birthday, we bring in a colossal cake. Earlier, we met baby African elephant Jara, who is nearly 1 year old. Keepers Liz and Suzanne have known Jara since the day that she was born, so they are keen to celebrate the big day in style. So Suzanne has arranged to meet Janice from the catering department.
It's Jara's birthday. She's coming up, she's going to be a year old, and we would like to make her a cake.
Just for little elephant?
No, this is to feed 13 elephants.
13 elephants? Yes. That's a bit different. They're big animals, you know that?
Yeah, I do.
OK. Oh, dear.
Poor Janice.
I'll see you next week.
I've never really had to make a cake for an elephant before. I've made plenty of wedding cakes, humans, but making a cake for an animal will be a challenge.
But amazingly, the following week, she has the mammoth cake finished. Janice has used over 120 carrots, 50 apples and 114 eggs to make it. It took 15 hours to bake it and a bucket of icing to decorate it. Go on, admit it. You want them to drop it too, don't you? In fact, the finished cake is so heavy they need a milk float to carry it down to the elephants. And all the elephant keepers have popped down to enjoy the fun. Let's get the party started.
I don't like the smell of that.
Oh dear, it seems the birthday girl isn't keen on the cake. Probably because it has a smell and texture she isn't used to. Just like a baby human, she's a fussy eater. But at least the other elephants are tucking in.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jara. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Jara.
Now it's time to take your questions on the weirdest animal in the park.
You lot at home have been busy putting on your keeper caps, thinking up brilliant questions to ask the keepers about their animals. Today I'm here with Head of Section Joel Bunce, and he's at the ready to answer all your questions about the giant anteater. OK, Joel, are you ready? The first question is from Molly King, who's 9.
Where do they come from?
They've got quite a range throughout South America. Although they're not that common, they are fairly widespread, and that runs right from southern Belize to the north of Argentina. So, yeah, they've got quite a range, but there's not that many of them.
We've got another question from Jessica Clements, who's 9.
Do they eat anything besides ants?
I should imagine they'd eat any insect small enough, given half the chance, but their normal sort of prey, if you like, is obviously the termite, which they will actively hunt out. They'll find a mound and dig them up. But I'm sure if they came across anything else that was small enough and good enough to eat, they would.
James Solomon has got a question, and he's 14.
Do they suck up the ants like a vacuum?
No, they don't use a sucking motion. They simply rely on the fact that their tongue is quite sticky and long, and anything that they're able to reach will stick to it, and they'll bring it back into their mouth.
So does the tongue sort of work like sellotape? You literally stick on the ants and in the game?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Yeah, it's a bit like that.
We've next got a question from Harriet Midson, who's 11.
Are they dangerous to humans?
In the wild, not at all, not normally. When they're in captivity, though, because they have quite big, powerful claws, you always have to keep an eye on them, because they do react differently when they're in captivity to the wild. They're not so shy and secretive, and they tend to be a bit more confident. So, although they're not life-threateningly dangerous, you still have to keep an eye on them, because they could do some damage with those claws.
Great questions, these, but unfortunately we've only got time for one more, and it's from Freya Hartman, who's 14.
How long do they live?
They'll normally live from anywhere between 10 to 15 years if they don't get sick or eaten by a predator. Sometimes that's longer in captivity, as things do tend to live a bit longer in captivity. But yeah, normally from 10 to 15 years.
Some fascinating facts there about the anteaters, but unfortunately that's all we've got time for on today's Ask the Keeper.
Now, if you were a teenager and you had to take arthritis medicine, you'd be very unfortunate. But we've got one very big teenager in here who unfortunately does. I've come up to the tiger enclosure with Adrian Harland, head of cats. Adrian, who's this?
This is my friend Harry. Harrow me to give him his proper name. When you say teenager, it's a bit misleading, because in cat terms, he'd be in his 70s.
Oh, wow. So he's really an old boy.
Yeah, and tends to be a bit of a grumpy old man at times. He grumbles and groans a bit.
So that means the arthritis makes a bit more sense.
Well, yes. You can see he's lost a bit of condition there on his back legs, and as a result of it, we have to give him pills each day.
Right. And how do you get pills into a giant tiger like this?
We pop them in a little treat.
Oh, I see.
I just, he gets fight. Yes.
Oh,
you're more interested
you like
in that.
that,
I
don't you?
know. Well, here it comes, Harry. Here it comes.
So you're popping the pills in a nice chunk of meat. And obviously
Fill it,
excited about
because
that. Fill
nothing
it,
but the best for my friend. If you'd like to maybe pop that in for him.
Yeah, yeah. Would you like this? So just pass it through the fence?
Just pass it through.
Oh,
That's
look,
He's ever so
look
gentle.
at those teeth.
He was hand-raised.
Was he?
So
he's been here right since, for all those 18 years?
Well, except for the first 10 days, when he, before his mother rejected him.
Oh, really? And for that time, have you known him that whole period?
I raised him from a cub.
Oh, fantastic.
I think
Should
you'd
I
like
give
a
him
bit
some more?
Well,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Hey.
There's no point being a favourite if you don't get treats.
He is amazing. That jaw
He'll
is
be
just
very
phenomenal.
careful. You see, he puts his tongue out
He's
rather than
incredibly gentle, isn't he?
snatch at it, because he doesn't want to bite anyone or catch your fingers by mistake.
He is gorgeous.
But he does want another bit.
OK, here you go, big boy. And where does he come from? What kind of tiger is he? I mean, I know he's born in captivity, but in terms of his breed...
He's an Indian tiger. And as you're probably aware, although the Amur tiger, the Siberian tiger, has quite a good project going with it, and the numbers are beginning to rise,
Yes.
for the Indian tiger, things are desperate again, and their numbers are falling. And it's due to us, you know. The humans are taking over their territories, killing their prey, and forcing us into conflict with them. Well,
Adrian, I saw that you were sort of communicating with him in some way. What does it mean?
Well, that sound, it's got a German name. It's called Brusten, and it's a greeting sound. And that tongue is just like sandpaper.
I can't believe how gentle he is with you.
Yeah, it's a greeting sound, and the tigers make that noise when they meet each other in the jungle or something, so that they know they've got friendly intentions towards one another.
Fantastic.
And well, that's a grumble.
Could I try it? Do you think he might respond if I
He
do?
might do.
Am I doing it right?
Well, you're almost there. A bit of practice, maybe. He doesn't quite get your accent so far.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Earlier in the show, we met a cunning gorilla by the name of Tebby. Tebby's one of the sharpest gorillas living at Howlett's. She has an eye for an opportunity, and so her keepers always have to keep an eye on her. But for Laura Bentley, looking out for Tebby has taken on a new meaning, because Tebby doesn't much like Laura, and if a gorilla doesn't like you, you'll soon know about it.
She can be a bit of a grouch, especially with me. I'm not one of her favourites, and I don't know what I've done. It might be my glasses, I might even use the wrong deodorant, but she doesn't like me.
Gorillas will take a dislike to someone for what seems like no good reason. At the beginning, most are a bit suspicious of new keepers, but once they get to know them, the relationship usually improves, which makes what's happening with Laura and Tebby quite unique.
I've been here 4 years now, and I'd say I've got quite a good relationship with Tebby. She's not nasty, but if there's someone else around who she's known for longer and who she prefers, then obviously I'm lower ranking to them. And basically, if she wants to take anything out, then she takes it out on me. She'd kind of just catch me with the corner of her eye and just kind of see me walking up and maybe come over, just do a bit of a displaying.
Displaying is meant to intimidate and cause fear. And it's a way they express being angry with you. There are a number of ways a gorilla will display, from beating the chest to charging up and down, crashing and banging on things. And Tebby is a major culprit.
Obviously, I would like Tebby to accept me more and like me more. So I've just got to try and keep thinking of ways to get the bond between us, really. A good way is food. Biggest way to gorilla's heart is through their stomach. So if I've got anything left over from tea break or lunch, then I usually go and sneak her a few bits, kind of bribe her, really.
Having proved her intelligence, it may be possible that Tebby is taking her cunning one step further, and she's intimidating Laura into feeding her more.
I don't think people kind of know how intelligent they are. So yeah, I reckon she thinks, that's Chab, she knows that I don't like her, so she's going to give me some nice stuff to make me like her. And no, it could be, or it could just be that she just purely doesn't like me that much.
Tebby is certainly an individual, and hopefully one day she'll kiss and make up with a keeper who just wants to be her friend.
We've come over to the meerkat enclosure to help Keeper Rich Barnes with a few chores.
Yes, it's feed time, and we're going to help Rich build something that's going to make their dinner a bit more interesting.
Rich, how can we help out?
OK, firstly, if you could go and get us some insects from the store and bring them back so we can chuck them on when we're finished. And if you want to give us a hand, Matt, we'll just chuck some more logs on and around this pile here.
So you're just making one big, huge pile of logs?
Yeah, basically just a big pile to chuck the insects and that in so they can forage around for them.
Excellent. There's a bit of entertainment for them, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, all forms of enrichment are just basically to give them something to do, to induce natural behaviours. I mean, naturally, they forage around most of the day, so it's just giving them something to do, really, yeah, to do exactly that.
Would they search for sort of wood piles and things like this, fallen trees, where they come from?
I mean, they're pretty inquisitive, so generally anything anywhere that looks like it might have a beetle or a grub or a bug, they'll certainly turn it over and go around and sort of have a look round, so, yeah.
And they like sort of the high vantage points, don't they? Do you think they'll climb up to the top and keep lookout?
Yeah, they will. I mean, I've tried to leave some surfaces like this at the top so they can run up, and there'll always be one on sort of sentry duty, just keeping an eye out for hawks and eagles and whatnot. And so, yeah, that's kind of why the it's got like a base at the top as well.
What would they do if they heard or saw a hawk or a predator of some kind?
OK, well, they've got plenty of vocalisations which represent different types of sort of danger, and they'll basically, yeah, just let everyone else in the gang sort of know that there's something dodgy about.
Let's do that one together.
Yeah.
And how many have you got in here, and where are they?
There's only a trio in here at the moment, but they are a fairly new group, and we're hoping to add, if we go around the side there, we're hoping to add to it. Just drop your end in that hole.
I've got lots of delicious crickets for the meerkats.
Oh,
where should we put them?
Yummy.
Right, we first of all just need to let them know that we're here. Yeah, guys.
Come on, meerkats. Lots of delicious crickets.
Come on, then.
Look.
Good one, lovely.
And then once, if we could just kind of empty them out onto the rock pile and the log pile, and then they'll come over as we...
They just crawl away
That's it, if you chuck them all over.
So literally just go like that?
Yep, all the way over.
There we go. Off you go, crickets.
That's it.
This one's very bold. Can't see the other two at the moment. There's holes everywhere. Have they made these?
Well, this used to be an old enclosure for honey badgers, so there's plenty of tunnel work all the way sort of under here, and the meerkats kind of taken over these holes as they would in the wild. They usually wouldn't dig out their own burrow, they'd take over an existing burrow, and so kind of basically doing what they would do in the wild as well.
Well, that one's just disappeared.
Should we back off slightly, give him a chance? Oh, has he gone inside?
He might have got through,
possibly,
actually,
yeah. There are holes under and
Rich,
around
what
it.
else do they eat in the wild?
OK, their diet mainly consists of sort of scorpions and other invertebrates. Due to sort of eating a lot of scorpions, they do have partial immunity to sort of desert species which they eat. They will eat basically any sort of grub, insect, anything really that they can chew and all down. Hello.
Oh, look at that little person
His little head
poking out
popped
there.
up.
And they make quite a cute little noise, Rich. What does that mean? Is that I'm hungry or...?
Well, this one's just a kind of, he's not too sure, he's slightly anxious. He wants to have a look around. If we can just back off a little bit, he may...
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Do you go this way?
Come this way.
Yeah, he wants to come out. He's literally just there
He's a
inside
bold
the hole.
Here he comes, here he comes.
Look. Up you go.
No sign of the other two yet. They're a bit more timid, are they?
Well, they'll be a bit spooked because we've put all this stuff in here. You know, they're not massively used to lots of different people that they don't know. They don't really know you guys, so yeah, they're just getting used to us, really.
He's not sure, is
And this one's a little bit more confidence because we believe he was hand-reared, so he's that much more confident around people.
Brilliant. Well, let's hope they enjoy their marvellous new meerkat mounds. Fantastic. We'll back off and give them a chance to get in, shall we?
How do cows count? With a calculator.
Why don't monkeys play poker in the jungle anymore? Because there's too many cheetahs.
What do you call a snail on a boat? A snailer.
Well, we've almost come to the end of another great show. But before we go, we've just got time to say goodbye to this amazing herd of American bison.
Yes, and thanks to the bison, I have finally achieved manhood. I have the hairy chest I've strived for all of my life.
Matthew, grow up.
Oh, come on. Not really, it's just a bit of bison fur. So, Bob, look, there's a fantastic bit of fur. Why have we got this?
Well, that's how they molt off. During the summer, it all comes off in big bits like that.
Yeah.
They grow a nice summer coat underneath, which will get longer and longer during the summer, so come winter time, they've got a nice big woolly coat again to keep them warm.
Very good. Cool in the summer, warm in the winter.
That's it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, they're pretty massive. How much would one of these weigh?
Well, these girls here, they go about 500 kilos each. That's half a ton.
That's amazing. That would probably
And they're all
flatten you.
female, are they?
Yeah, yeah. And the bulls, they probably go up to 750, 800 kilos.
My goodness me. They are huge. Magnificent beasts. But unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. But stay tuned to find out what's coming up on the next Raw. For now, it's goodbye from us, and it's good bison from them.
A bunch of baboons go bonkers as they bag themselves a free lunch.
It looks like there may be some little leopard kittens, if only the keeper is allowed in to see.
All right, OK.
And we find out which animal in the park likes to eat poo.